This was the village of Mundo, situated in the Zambezia province in Mozambique. This road had been the only means to connect the villagers to the outside world. Mr. Raimundo had been living here all his life. He knew very little about the world because old age prevented him from accessing the telecommunications services far away. We villagers are facing numerous challenges due to the absence of telephone coverage. I wanted to make a phone call to my elder brother in Maputo, but couldn't make it because the nearest provider is still too far away. Yesterday, I got news that he had died several months ago, but I didn't know anything. People like Mr. Raimundo can be found anywhere in the world. They are the ones left behind by the digital era. That's what Viettel realized as early as 10 years ago. Unequal access to information could lead to poverty, and prosperity could come to underprivileged rural areas with increased connectivity to the world through telecommunications. With this in mind, Viettel has taken the challenging path of providing telecommunications services to the furthest corners of the world, universalizing telecommunications services so anyone can get access. Stepping out into the world in the early days, devotion, determination, and a courageous spirit were Viettel's only compass. They have relied on no one but themselves to search for a path to the future. The more they walk, the wider and smoother their path has become. Today, with 10 foreign markets spreading from Asia to Africa to Latin America, outward investment has truly become one of the key pinnacles of growth for the Viettel Group. From the early first steps, Viettel's path to the global market has formed. An entirely unexplored path where aspirations become a reality and dreams are born and nurtured. Reflecting on the year 2006, when Viettel was first given the opportunity to be issued an outward investment certificate. At that time, Viettel had been operating its mobile phone network for 2 years. In 2005, profit reached 300 billion Vietnam Dong, 150 times less than what it is today. Viettel was still the provider with the smallest customer share in the domestic market, with approximately 2 million accounts. Launching into the global market was a difficult decision for Viettel, who was still a humble, inexperienced telecommunication services provider. At the time, Vietnam was still on the receiving end of a massive flow of foreign investment. But Viettel asked themselves, does integration simply mean opening the door to welcome the world coming to you? Deciding to invest in the Cambodian and Laotian markets in 2006, Viettel set for themselves 3 goals. First, going out to seek new room for growth. Second, going out to learn and obtain the very best knowledge from the world. Third, to train and sharpen up their own people. After 10 years launching into the global markets, Viettel today has accomplished more than these 3 goals it set in the early days. In 2016 alone, revenue from the global markets reached $1.4 billion. That makes the revenue for the last 10-year period total $6.5 billion, with an average annual growth of around 25%. Over 35 million accounts in the outward markets have contributed to Viettel's ranking in the top 30 telecommunication companies with the most customers in the world. But the bottom line of what Viettel has achieved does not end with numbers. During the course of its global ventures, Viettel has found new potential and unique opportunities that it never expected before. Setting foot in 11 countries with a total population of over 320 million, Viettel is seeing endless business opportunities. Not being limited to providing mobile phone services and internet access, Viettel has the potential to become a manufacturer and distributor of telecommunication equipment to many global markets. In the last few years, Viettel's research and manufacturing subsidiaries have produced some high-quality mobile phone lines designed specifically to meet customer needs in all 11 global markets where it has been operating. The era of the Internet of Things has opened up new room for development for the Viettel Group. With entertainment content databases, digital wallet and electronic banking services, online learning and healthcare applications, Viettel is looking to provide an ecosystem of goods and services that meet the needs of our global customers in all aspects of life, from education, work, to creative activities. As expected, it has not been easy for Viettel to get to where it is today. It is little known that Viettel has been in direct competition with the world's leading telecommunication services providers. Among those, Vodafone, one of the world's strongest telecom companies, Clato, South America's largest telecommunication services provider, or Digicel, Central America and Caribbean's biggest provider. But for Viettel, challenges are opportunities in disguise. Adversity grants a chance for Viettel staff to toughen up. The fiercer competition they face, the better lessons and knowledge they obtain to perform better in Vietnam and in all other markets. In the past 10 years, 3,000 young Viettel staff under the age of 35 have been deployed overseas to fill management and specialist positions. They are also the next generation of leaders capable of leading Viettel to a sustainable future and accomplishing Viettel's goal of transforming into a global business entity. Viettel has created not only a path, but has also created themselves in the process. They have been more and more capable of taking charge of the future by walking on that path. In 2010, during a state visit to Vietnam, Tanzanian Prime Minister Mizengo Peter Pinda had a sudden request of visiting Viettel, a business entity that had been applauded by Mozambique leaders for its accomplishment in that country. He wanted to gain better knowledge of the Vietnam telecom industry's magical growth that he had seen for himself. A few days later, the politician's visit had laid the foundation for Viettel's venture into the African country. And this is how the Prime Minister of Tanzania felt after visiting Viettel. I would like to widen up access to telecommunication services for Tanzanian people. To achieve that goal, there's no partner more suitable than Viettel. Not yet a major global telecommunication services provider, but Viettel has been seen by many countries as a model for socially responsible business development that serves the community. The villages first got to know a kind of waves other than ocean waves, that of telecommunications. The schools first got access to the internet. The distant areas first seen optic cables. The lands forgotten by other companies are seen as the lands of promise by Viettel. The people whom other providers refuse to serve are seen as those who are in urgent need of access to communications by Viettel. If other providers ignore the furthest, most distant areas, Viettel believes they should be given a chance to develop through the means of communications. Information and information sharing opened the door to new livelihoods. Such belief gives Viettel the momentum to try their best to bring the best technologies at the lowest cost to as many people as possible. Going hand in hand for mutual development, Viettel goes into other countries as not only an investor, but also as a friend. We have a high regard for how Viettel has fulfilled its investment commitments in Peru. Their achievements have far surpassed the commitments. In global telecom investment and development, it's not important whether you are from a richer or a poorer country. It's the values that you bring to us.
The cooperation between Viettel Global and the Lao Asia has been an important milestone in the overall partnership between the two telecommunication industries and the two countries. It is also a symbol of the long-standing, beautiful friendship between the two parties, the two states, and the two nations.
10 years pass, and Viettel has set its foot on so many roads, so many villages, so many cities, from Asia to Africa to Latin America. Because once you choose to be a long-term investor, you are willing to brace yourself for the most bumpy path. Be it in African desert, Amazonian jungles, or oxygen-poor mountain peaks, Viettel's arrival has been followed by the laying of optic cables, the essential foundation of all information superhighways. They serve as the platform for new telecom technologies like 3G and 4G to be made available to the people who would otherwise not have access to them. That's also how Viettel has touched the hearts of so many with sincerity and kindness. 10 years pass, and Viettel has proved themselves a true companion, or indeed, one who co-creates the development of the telecom industry wherever they come. 18 international awards. More than half were granted to the world's best service providers in emerging markets. Impressively, Movitel in Mozambique has been recognized as the miracle of Africa, the provider with the best solutions in extending and improving telecom services in rural and underserved areas in Africa. With the solutions that have earned global recognitions for their effectiveness in many developing countries, Viettel has connected not only Mundo Village in Mozambique, but also many other similar villages to the telecommunication network. Viettel has proved a truth in outward investment. To build long-lasting business success, one has to be a socially responsible foreign investor who takes part in solving problems in the respective country. Going out to serve the world with our best, and you will reap the very best knowledge the world has to offer. That is how Viettel has redefined the word integration in our own way. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This African proverb is also what Viettel has always believed in since the first day they ventured overseas. And if there needs to be a more explicit proof of Viettel's conduct towards their friends, it must be the way Viettel upholds their investment commitments after the 2010 Haitian earthquake. An earthquake with a Richter magnitude of 7 brought about 300,000 deaths and the destruction of most of the nation's infrastructure. While many other foreign investors withdrew from Haiti, Viettel moved in the opposite direction and sped up building a large telecom network, because Viettel believed the network would provide the services needed for Haitians to recover and rebuild after the catastrophe. Today, many Haitians still recall Viettel's good deeds after the earthquake. Winning the local people's affections has been one of the keys to Viettel's achievements in this island nation. I will never forget that after the catastrophic earthquake, Viettel provided Haiti with the much-needed food aid to help the most affected people. We hope that NATCOM will continue to provide free internet access to schools. Many schools are enjoying this privilege, including ones with very limited resources. Some schools have been equipped with computer labs. That's another evidence of the companionship for mutual development between Haiti and Vietnam.
Smartphones have reached the distant areas of Cambodia. The mountains and the borderland are also within smartphones' coverage area. This favorable condition has helped Cambodia to solve urgent matters through smartphones' telecom infrastructure system.
In the countries that Viettel has set foot in, the public perception of Vietnam does not stop at a country with glorious wars of national liberation. Vietnamese trade brands also do not stop at agricultural products. The people in many countries have seen that Vietnam is developing with a fast pace in the areas of communications, high-tech, research, and manufacturing. A strong and truthful Vietnamese business brand has emerged and earned global recognition. Since Viettel started their investment activities in Mozambique, the local people have come to associate the brand Viettel with the country of Vietnam. Viettel has brought about a new perception and new working style to Mozambique. Viettel believes that if we can excel at home, we are fully capable of venturing out into the high seas. We don't need roaming service among the three Indo-Chinese countries anymore. The same, and probably the lowest rate, is applied to all telephone calls from Phnom Penh, Hanoi, Siem Reap, Vientiane, and other areas. Viettel is the first Vietnamese telecom service provider to turn this vision into reality to serve tour operators, investors, and the public. To bridge the communication gap among the three Indo-Chinese countries as directed by the Prime Minister is to create a new model for development in the new flat world. Viettel is fully capable of applying this model in all other markets that they have been operating in. That's one of the characteristics of a global business leader. Unlike 10 years ago, when Viettel was alone in its pathfinding missions, Viettel today has the companionship of some major Vietnamese business entities. These include the military bank and Mekong Airlines in the Cambodian market. They are the retailers and hydropower developers in the Cameroonian market, or BIDV, FPT, and Vietnam Airlines in the Myanmar market. Viettel's initial successes in outward investment have paved the way for the Vietnamese business communities to embrace new chances and opportunities. The path that Viettel has diligently walked for the last 10 years is being widened for the next generation of Vietnamese investors. Being chosen by history as the pathfinder, Viettel today is ready and proud to be a truthful companion to like-minded business leaders to go far together in this ever-expanding path. Paths are made for walking. Such philosophy has led Viettel through the group's global integration journey. The willingness and determination to engage have opened up a path wide enough to lead Viettel to a sustainable future. There is no argument that outward investment is never an easy path. But Viettel has always had faith in their own strength and capabilities. Viettel's ambition is to build a global corporate group where outward investment is one of the strongest pillars of growth that will propel Viettel into the future. Targeting the markets in 20 countries with a total population of 600 to 800 million by the year 2020, Viettel will have to do better than their best, with an even bigger workload than what they have done in the last 10 years. Paths are made by walking. The Viettel people will continue to walk the outward investment path to their future. But unlike 10 years ago, Viettel today is equipped with not only the compass of devotion and enthusiasm, but also with knowledge, experience, financial and human resources, and the indispensable faith in their dreams and ambitions.